Hey everyone, so we're trying a bit of a different setup for this video here. If you've been watching my stream, you're probably familiar with this setup, but I'm trying some different things to hopefully speed up my turnaround time on videos. But usually this is the boom period for FGC events. Everyone's traveling around the country, traveling around the world. I'm sure we all wish we could go out, see our friends, hang out, get some hype matches, get some casuals in, and try to survive the literal and figurative hangover on the way home. But I thought it'd be fun to talk about my favorite FGC experiences or my favorite FGC events and some of the misadventures and just things that happen at some of them. Now, I do got to say my experiences at FGC events have changed a lot because I've generally shifted to a lot of different roles. So the perspective of mine as a player, as a spectator, as a streamer has changed. So whereas you might be hype for that bracket reset and grand finals, me, I'd be like, I've been streaming for 12 hours. I just want to get out of here. But anyway, let's get into some of the events. So there was a point in time where this would probably be embarrassing to admit, but EVO 2009 was my first official fighting game event. So I had played Street Fighter 2, on SNES, and, I played Primal Rage at golf and stuff in the arcade. And basically, I got into Street Fighter again, especially the competitive scene with Street Fighter 4. Bought it on PS3. I was getting destroyed online. I was like, okay, how do I get better? So I found Gutex's podcast and I found out about the GameStop National Tournament and how those people got seeded into EVO. And I was like, what is EVO? So I went on a trip with my friends to Las Vegas and we stayed at the Palms Casino, which was across the street from the Rio, which is where EVO was held. And I thought, hey, let's check out this event. Just plan to look at it for like 30 minutes and then get back to partying in Vegas. But I ended up spending the majority of my time on that trip at EVO, and I was there with a bunch of strangers. I didn't know anybody in the FGC or even what the FGC was, but I was just there in the crowd getting hype with that crazy grand finals with Justin and Daigo. And instantly I was hooked at the event, and a lot of that hype was probably powered by Four Loko. But that was really the highlight of my trip because the actual Vegas partying part didn't go so well because when you're a broke kid out of college, Vegas is a little bit too out of your price bracket. So after EVO 2009, I was kind of hooked on this whole FGC thing, and I decided to go to arcades, go to tournaments, compete. And I thought, okay, well, I need to really make the leap and attend an FGC major event. So again, thanks to Gutex's content and his marketing acumen, I decided to go to the West Coast Warzone event. And I did the whole package. Even though it was really close to my house, I still bought a hotel room and decided to stay there the whole weekend. And I learned some very important lessons about the FGC at this event. The first is that these events basically can become 24/7 parties, especially if there's a pool nearby. And the result of these parties is that you have a massive hangover and it basically kills any competitive drive that you might have. The other thing is to be very careful about letting people stay in your room. In fact, if you're someone who values your privacy, don't say that you can let someone crash because it can go from maybe one person you're letting stay to all of a sudden you have 12 people in your room playing on casual setups all night. Conversely, if you want to make friends in the FGC, just offer free food and free booze, let them stay in your room. You'll meet a ton of people, but that drink will be gone in an instant. So, just be aware of that. So it's easy to make friends in the FGC, food and drinks, no problem. But also I got pretty much destroyed in the tournament. I went 0-2, and then I kind of just sat there watching. I had fun. This was kind of the debut of Yeb and showing that Gan could be a powerful character, but it was also the beginning of my thinking that, hey, maybe there's something else I can do in this FGC thing. Maybe being a competitor necessarily isn't the route for me. So basically, not too long after West Coast Warzone, I still competed in some tournaments and I went to things like Wednesday night fights, but I decided that, maybe I should try streaming instead. Seemed more interesting to me, especially since I was in like audio production. So I started streaming. I started the Offcast channel and I put a lot of work and I got a lot of big breaks. And the outcome of that is that I was offered to help produce the co-stream of EVO 2011. This is before EVO had 20 different streams and the jump off and everything. It was just, the I Play Winner Team Spooky team. And then it was me and Finest KO on the side stream. So it was pretty much me and, Raikanami, who were running the side stream. It was a lot of different games and it was really long, 14-hour days. We definitely needed some liquid courage to power through some of those days and some Blaze Green as well. But it was a really fun event and it really taught me the power of networking to get opportunities in the FGC. because at that event I got to, meet up with some Australian players who would be really important later on down the line, and we had actually hung out a lot before the event. And also that's where I saw that there was going to be a salty suite, or after hours suite is what they called them, and it was being run by Lapchi from Canada Cup Gaming. And I met with the Canada Cup Gaming guys, and I asked them if I could stream the suite, and they said yes. And I don't even know how I did that. I had been streaming like 14 hours every day, so I basically packed up my gear, put it into a suite, set it up. I was exhausted, but those were some of the best matches that I ever streamed. And I actually got to work with Boss Logic. He actually made the overlays for that stream like almost overnight, really, because I found out about it at super last minute. And we did the broadcast, and this was like kind of the debut of that whole team versus team from around the world format. So like Team USA, Team Japan, Team Korea, they were playing against each other, and it was really like all the high profile players, and it was just an amazing stream. But also it was probably, one of the first instances of what has come to be known as stream vulturing. This is where basically someone takes all your archives and uploads them on their own YouTube channel and monetizes them. It's pretty common. It's pretty unfortunate. I had to go and message the channels. I had to ask people to take it down. But I will say, if you're running your own salty suite, before you polish off that bottle of Jack, make sure to upload all those archives, because that's what's really going to drive growth and revenue if you have partnership on your channel, is putting the YouTube archives up and letting people know that you put high quality match content on your channel. So as I mentioned, during EVO 2011, I had met up with some Australian players, and this was actually Ali, Sol, and Steve, and they were the organizers for Shadowloo Showdown. And I'd been working with them on some events and qualifiers, and they really helped me with the growth of my channel as well. And Boss Logic was part of the team, and if you don't know, he did basically all the best FGC trailers for like 2 years in a row. So they had their 2012 edition, and if you didn't know, Shadowloo Showdown brought like the best players in Asia. Like, they were really the best event. They had the best talent, because not only did they bring out the known players, they brought out players that would get super popular years later, like Zhao Hai and stuff like that. Like, this was the first event that you saw them at. So they were gracious enough to do a fundraiser to bring me out to the event, and I got to go out to my first proper international event. I remember I was sweating bullets. Like, I didn't know if my streaming equipment would actually come off the plane or make it through customs or whatever. I didn't even know that you had to pay a visa to get into Australia. But I made it, and I got to discover the wonderful world of kebabs in Melbourne. And shout outs to Burnout Fighter. That's the first time I met him as well. He actually hooked me up with a mixer for the event, because I didn't realize that there was different voltages and plugs. In Australia, I was used to 110. It was 220. Thank God the rest of my equipment worked. And it was a super awesome event. Like, it was just all killers in the bracket. And I remember I learned some crazy new streaming tech, because at the time, Australia's internet was pretty awful. So I had actually stream off a 4G card. And, thanks to Gunrun for actually helping me learn some new stream settings and getting it all to work. But it was an awesome event. I got to meet a lot of personalities from Europe, throughout Asia, people that would become, household names later on down the line. And it was really my first experience kind of just getting to know the global FGC and getting to see, how much people love these games around the world. So after that event, there was still a lot of really cool things I got to do in the FGC. Like, I got to run the mainstream for EVO for a couple years, and I got to travel to events in Japan and Europe and all over the world. But I will say my next most favorite event was Manila Cup 2016. Now, was it the biggest event? No. Was it the best event? Probably not. The venue was kind of hot. It was kind of hard to get into, and the tournament ran a little bit late, TST. But it was the one event where I feel like I was able to kind of give back to the FGC that gave me so much, gave me so many opportunities with streaming. I met so many friends. I got to see so many cool places. And now I basically got to kind of pay it back a little bit. So I had been working at XSplit, and XSplit was one of the big sponsors for Manila Cup. And basically they gave me the budget to really put on the event that I wanted. So we got a venue that would work well, internet, and I got to fly out some players and some personalities I really liked working with. So flew out Mike Ross, Gutex, flew out Spooky, and we flew out Justin Wong. So, I've been a little bit of a Justin Wong fanboy since EVO 2009, that finals with, Justin and Daigo. And I really wanted to see Justin, win an event, especially in Asia, because an American player winning an event in Asia was pretty rare at the time. But Justin came out to Manila Cup and he took it, he won it. So it was super fun. We had an amazing dinner to celebrate. It was a steak place that was so good that Justin came out on his own just to eat at that steak place like a couple years later. We all had fun, and by that time I had been living in the Philippines for about 3 years. So it was really nice to just hang out with some fellow Americans and just, you know, have fun in Manila. But yeah, that was, you know, one of my best experiences to finally, you know, give something back to the FGC that had given me so much. So those are some of my favorite FGC events and some of the events that really shaped my whole FGC career and experience. And I'm still going to events. I'm still working events, whether they're offline or online. So I want to ask you, you know, what was your first FGC event? What was your favorite FGC event? And what's the first event you're looking forward to going to once we can all go outside in the world again? Let me know in the comments. Give a like if this was fun going back through memory lane, and subscribe for more FGC tales and experiences. Catch you on the next one.